What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Air It Out podcast presented by Inside the Hashes. My name is Juan Pablo Gordon Camargo. You're a host who just got a really nice haircut today. I'm about to show it off. And I am joined by a panel full of football experts here with me today. I got Avery. I got Avery Collins. I got Darren Braxton. I got Darius Riddick. I got Jerome Jones behind the glass. What is up, everybody?
Here.
What's good? What's good? You already know what the deal is, baby.
Please take that jersey off, man. That's not even an MVP for this season. That's not even an MVP for this season. Just take it off.
The reigning MVP.
Solid, man.
The reigning MVP, sir.
Oh, reigning MVP Lamar Jackson does Darren have on as a jersey. But you know what, guys? Reigning MVP aside, we'll talk about this week's Inside the Hashes Fantasy Football MVP. That's right, him right here. Because, man, like 168 points on the week and still maintaining first place. I am the Juan and only keeping my number Juan ranking up there. But, if you guys are a little bit sour about it, love to hear your thoughts.
I am not sour at all. I'm sour at my team. I dropped after winning. We're not going to go back into that, but y'all know how I felt about that. And then I lost. I lost pretty bad this week. So I expected to drop. I actually expected to drop more than I did drop. So I can't complain with the 2 weeks total rankings. I'm like, okay, cool. I can deal with it. Still in the top 10. Still not where Darren is. I'm okay with that.
And where is Darren?
No comment. No comment.
Wow. I mean, for a team that's 2-0, another impressive win. Shout out to Will Lutz. That got me my second straight win. I'm in the top 5. I definitely think I should be in the top 3, maybe 2. I do think Juan, you are number 1, rightfully so I do expect that. But we will meet this sometime this season, so we'll see if you really are the one and only.
It is a light flex, Jerome, but I gotta flex what I can, being the Jets fan and all, and just like how Darren has to flex, he has the league MVP jersey on right now.
It had to be done, man. It had to be done at least once before, just so you know what you want to have to wear at some point down the line. Since you still think the Bengals will be us 2 times.
I mean, we saw how Joe Burrow plays. And we've seen what kind of magic created with a really bad team. So
I'm not worried about Joe Burrow.
Juan said they was going to sweep him.
Yeah. And, so far, a lot of my hot take predictions have been going well. So, why not that one? But before we continue to try trash on the air, let's go into today's rundown. And to start off the rundown today, we have some sad news out in the football world as Hall of Fame Bears running back Gale Sayers passed away on Wednesday from complications due to dementia. The Kansas Comet held numerous Bears records, earning 5 All-Pro honors and went to 4 Pro Bowls in his career. Unfortunately, his career was cut short to only 7 years due to multiple season-ending injuries that at the time were considered, basically career-ending. Hall of Fame President Dave Baker had quite the things to say about Gale. He said that Gale Sayers was the very essence of a team player, quiet, unassuming, and always ready to compliment a teammate for a key block. Gale was an extraordinary man who overcame a great deal of adversity during his NFL career and life. A lot of fans may know him as the guy who coined the phrase, "Give me 18 inches of daylight. That's all I need." Moving into the AFC East right now, the New York Jets have been in the news cycle for all the wrong reasons in 2020. In a press conference with reporters, Jets safety Bradley McDougald complained that the team had, quote, some slow practices, and it correlates to the game, with linebacker Avery Williamson confirming the report with WFAN. Head coach Adam Gase disagreed with the accounts, believing that the team has had a good tempo in practice, but he's willing to listen to players if they have concerns. And so far, the Jets are ranked as the 32nd ranked team in the entire NFL game, blown out by the Bills and the 49ers in weeks 1 and 2, respectively. Staying in the AFC, Florida prosecutors have dropped a misdemeanor charge against New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft on Thursday after Florida courts blocked the use of a video that allegedly shows Kraft paying for a massage parlor sex tryst. This incident stems from February of 2019 when Kraft was listed as a possible solicitor at a Florida massage parlor prior to attending that year's Super Bowl featuring his New England Patriots against the now Los Angeles Rams. He could still face suspension or other punishment from the NFL, though. Moving into the betting circle, Vegas is putting their money on the man in the kitchen, as Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson is the current betting favorite to win this year's MVP award, ahead of the MVPs from the last 2 years, Patrick Mahomes from 2018 and Lamar Jackson from 2019. Wilson currently sits at plus 300 to win the award, while Mahomes sits at plus 550 and Jackson at 500. Speaking of Lamar Jackson, after a Kentucky grand jury ruled not to bring charges against Louisville police for their role in the death of Breonna Taylor earlier this week, players across the NFL have voiced their displeasure with the decision, including reigning NFL MVP Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. Jackson told reporters today that he feels that Taylor was deprived of true justice, that, quote, "We've got other things in the world that get justice that don't really need justice. But people want to push that issue a lot more than our Black lives that's mattering. Breonna Taylor being one of them, it's crazy. We never get justice for serious things on our side of the park. We're in America where it should be freedom of speech, the land of the free, but I don't really feel like it's been that way for us Black people sometimes." And guys, that will conclude today's rundown. And I want to start off with Darren on this one with his comment, with Lamar Jackson's comments. Do you feel like it's the response? Like, players have been trying to step up to be vocal leaders for societal change since Colin Kaepernick took the knee back in 2016. Do you feel like this is a good part of Lamar to continue that conversation, and do these comments hold water? Hey, you're muted, buddy.
Sorry, these comments hold complete water, completely. You got to understand what kind of organization is behind him. So he's going to be allowed to say these type of things without retribution and know that he has organization behind him. And when you think about what the case is, this is basically the worst kind of outcome that we could have imagined. But this is the outcome that a lot of people were assuming was going to happen, which was very unfortunate. So I think he has to be able to speak on this and say how we feel about this because of him having this type of platform to be able to do this. And you got to understand, these younger guys now, they feel like they can speak out a lot more. They feel like they have more backing when it comes to this. So I think it's okay for him to be doing this right now.
Avery, moving up to with Adam Gase. I know you have a way of sniffing out BS from major figures. So with Adam Gase especially, do you feel like Bradley McDougald commenting about practice is just a show of what the true culture of the New York Jets currently is?
Well, first and foremost, just want to say Breonna Taylor, we are sorry to her family. We our hearts go out to you all. It's a sad situation when these things happen. To Darren's point, we kind of expected this to happen, but that doesn't take away from the pain of it actually coming down. So to her family, to her, we are sorry. To all those involved, to Louisville, please stand strong, continue to fight. As far as Adam Gase, my whole thing is this: we already know he's not a good coach, right? I think, well, okay, I'll say he's not a good head coach. I won't say he's not a good coach because he can coach in the NFL, just not as a head coach. My issue with Adam Gase is, and it's always been this, one of my biggest issues is he cannot build culture. Teams will not buy into whatever he's trying. He's never going to get buy-in from players. It doesn't matter what team he goes to. He might get a position group to buy in, but he's not going to get a team to buy into his culture. He can't create. He's not a leader. He's not one of those people that you're like, I'm going to run through a wall for. He's not inspiring. He's none of those things. So I believe the players when they say, listen, because here's the thing, players, anybody who's played, Jerome included, can attest. We do not like practicing. We don't. We practice because we have to. We enjoy hitting at practice, We enjoy getting rough and rowdy at practice, but we don't like practicing. We don't like working out. We love game day. That's what we look forward to. So when you got guys who are saying our practices are essentially boring, not up to par, not what we're expecting, not competitive, what player is going to say that? Like, players aren't just going to say that because they're like, I want to get this coach out of here. Because and even if they are, that is a testament to what I just said. The players are not responding to him. He's not the guy. It's just as simple as that. And so, I wanted to give it, it's the off season, yada, yada, yada. He's trying to, keep everybody safe. Bump that, man. It's season time now. You put up or shut up. So, yeah, I think he's on the hot seat, and I think if he doesn't turn it around, he's going by. I agree with you, Juan. I think he's going by game 8 if he doesn't turn it around.
The Jets have never fired a head coach midseason since the 1970s. Hopefully that trend ends soon. And Avery, I know especially you with the Falcons both have coaches that might be in need of removal sometime soon. But finally, Darius, I know you've been preaching Cam for MVP this year, but you got to give it to Russell Wilson. He's really been on the hot start. Against your New England Patriots especially, he made every MVP player had that game that solidified his MVP position. Lamar Jackson against the Pats last year, Patrick Mahomes against the Steelers the year before. For Russell Wilson, week 2 was that solidifying. What do you think? Is it time for Russell Wilson to finally get what's due to him?
One thing we have to realize with Russ, he had the same success early on last season, and then towards the end of the season, he started to really, I wouldn't say decline, but he wasn't putting up those type of numbers he was early in the season. And we also have to remember, it's a lot of guys out there that's having great seasons, just like Russell. Josh Allen in Buffalo, he is balling. Kyler Murray in Arizona, he is balling. Patrick Mahomes, obviously. Lamar Jackson is so many. You can even throw Cam Newton in there just because of what he's doing in New England and almost coming back against Seattle, throwing for over 300 yards, a touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns, and almost leading a comeback in his second game and making Julian Edelman looking like a top 10, top 5 receiver with what he can do in the slot and getting him to his career high in receiving yards. But I definitely do think that Russ at this point, the man has over, I believe, 9 touchdowns, no interceptions, and only 7 incompletions in 2 games. Let that stat just sitting alone. He has thrown no interceptions, and he's only thrown 7 incompletions within 2 games. And we see what he can do with the deep ball. I think he has the best deep ball throw in the NFL currently right now. Obviously, you can throw a couple of guys in. I think Josh Allen deep ball looks beautiful too, but Russ just makes it look easy. And Avery, you said this, I believe, a couple of months last season, when it's the showtime and them lights are on, Rush just performs well. If I had to pick any quarterback right now in the league in a Monday Night Football game or Sunday Night Football game, I'm going to Russ because he's going to come alive more than I feel like than a regular, 1 o'clock game or 4 o'clock game. But when it's that Sunday night and he knows everybody's watching him, he's going to perform. He did that against my New England Patriots, obviously, and he also did that even though it wasn't a primetime game, he did against Atlanta. So I definitely think right now, if I had to give a vote to who I would give MVP, it would be Russ. But it's still early in the season, and it's a lot of competition, especially at the quarterback position. So, but yeah, Russ definitely right now is the guy who I would give MVP for right now.
Don't forget Aaron Jones.
Russell Wilson currently has no losing seasons in his entire NFL career. At first, he's had 9-7 in 2015, I believe it was. And, guys, Russell Wilson gets all the hype that he can, and especially in week 2 against the Patriots, he really put up the numbers, which is a good transition into our recap of week 2. And, guys, week 2 just as exciting as week 1. A lot of great games in the wet works, whether it was Chargers, Chiefs, whether it was Cowboys, Falcons. There was just 10 situations happening and so many good games. So I want you guys to kind of give me your thoughts and takeaways from specific games that you had your eyes on, and just give me your quick thoughts on it. And Darren, I'll start off with you there.
So I'm gonna make it real simple. Unfortunately, I did not get to watch football like I normally do. I did not get to hit red zone up, but I went and seen my game. I was proud of my boys. I was proud of the way they are fully on the running back by committee because of the way that we can do it with so many weapons in the backfield. Gotta love it, but they still need to get it together because Deshaun Watson, once he had time, he was carving us up. You got to understand, Deshaun Watson is special, but the Ravens looked good. Other big win for us going into this next game, but I will not speak on that until a little bit later. I got something for y'all on that.
All right, well, we'll keep you on the topic for that. Darius, really quick, game that stood out and take away from it from week 2.
If this is not the most obvious game of week 2, Avery, I'm sorry. The Atlanta Falcons.
I was gonna let him do
it. and what's crazy about the game, and we talked about this early on, me and Avery, the Falcons offense looks really great. Like Matt Ryan is looking like the MVP Matt Ryan. Todd Gurley, he hasn't cracked 100 yards, but he's still making plays. And I feel like Atlanta has to kind of get him more involved in the passing game, maybe get some screens to him a little bit more. But Calvin Ridley, amazing. Julio obviously hurt, but you cannot blow a lead like that to a team. And we know how Dallas is. Dallas fans, when that game was over and they came back, you would have thought Dallas won the Super Bowl the way that the fans were all going out crazy. Oh, my God, Dak is this. And Dak had a phenomenal game. We can't understand. Also, too, another guy in the MVP race, Dak Prescott, had a phenomenal game, looking like a strong candidate for MVP. But I'm very, very shocked that the Atlanta Falcons blew that league and Dallas was able to really get that that win, man. Like I just didn't expect that. I wasn't watching the game, but I was keeping track at work, and all I see was Dallas come back, and I'm just like, how did, like, at what, like, Avery, like we talked about this, like how do you do again, you choke, like it's just something with Atlanta not being able to close out games. I don't know if it's the coaching, maybe, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly right there. We suck. No, we don't suck. I've been saying that. I mean, obviously, just because I'm a frustrated fan, but the reality is, so this wasn't a choke job, right? So the Super Bowl, if you want to call it a choke job, I don't agree with that either. But if you want to call that a choke job, I will give you that. This one wasn't a choke job. This one was purely two things. One, bad coaching, right? So that it has to trickle down. Somebody has to tell the guys on special teams that you fall on the football. You don't have to wait for it to go 10 yards, right? You have to know that rule. Now, you can see on the hands team, Julio notices this, that nobody's going after the football, but he's hampered by a hamstring, so he can't dive and go grab, and he's on the second line. So it's not like he was going to get there in the first place. The second thing is the defense, right? The defense, they're just young. They're not good. AJ Terrell's a rookie. I believe Sheffield was playing, or no, Isaiah Oliver was playing, and Sheffield has been injured, so he hasn't been on the field yet. Isaiah Oliver wasn't even projected to be even in the lineup this, as a starter on the depth chart. He was like the number 4 corner, maybe 5 on the depth chart. So it's that situation. Then obviously losing Ricardo Allen, I think that played a big part because he's one of the main signal callers on the defense. And so for me, I think it boiled down to that more than anything. But I agree with Darius. That's the game right there. I mean, I understand Darren being a homer, but that's the game right there.
No, see, I wanted you to speak on this. I didn't feel like I needed to bring this up. I had to leave that to you. That was your team. I'm gonna let you handle that.
So respect to that. But again, you're up. You had a 20-point lead at one point. In the fourth quarter, you're up 39-30 with I think just a little over 2 minutes left. Like you win that football game. I'm sorry, and at that point they had a 99.9% chance to win the football game. Like for me, it's just that you cannot let Dak Prescott walk down the field the way that he did. I just don't care I feel like there has to be something in you as a competitor to say, you know what, I'm not going to let this happen. I'm just not going to let this happen. And don't get me wrong, I think Dak Prescott is a dog. I think that he's one of those guys who's like, you know, when the pressure on, he likes to perform. But still, you can't let that happen. There's too much talent on that team with Julio Jones, Hayden Hurst, Calvin Ridley, who leads the league in touchdowns and yards right now, Matt Ryan, who's second in yards right now, and I believe second or third in
having 2 fantasy teams.
Todd Gurley. And so for me, it's entirely, there's too much talent on that team for them to be losing games. And to Darius's point, and Juan mentioned this earlier, as far as coaching, like I said, it's either one of two things. Either the players are not responding to the coaching anymore, or the coaching staff, there's not a trickle down from Dan Quinn throughout the entire coaching staff. It's one or the other. And something has to change. Because if not, this is going to be a very long season. But I think, like I said, for me, the reason I'm so disappointed is because you look at how much talent is on that team, and you're like, there's no way you should be losing after being up 20 points. Period.
And with that being said,
and that's what I was alluding to. Like my bad. Well, I mean, cut you off, but you can't have that much talent. We talked about this before the season. How many you have? What 11 first rounders on the offense, and
not anymore.
Push
Laquan
the ball
Treadwell's
offensively.
Guys, we can talk Atlanta. We can talk Cowboys Falcons all day and really dissect and go into it. The whole podcast could be that, but unfortunately, we can't do that. We got to cover all the games, and I'm going to give my game of the week right now, and that's going to be the unexpected quarterback battle a lot of us thought we weren't expecting but needed in our lives, which was Gardner Minshew versus Ryan Tannehill. The Titans versus the Jaguars. That rivalry has been so foul over the past 5 or 6 years that I've been monitoring it. But first off, no one expected guys like Ryan Tannehill and Gardner Minshew to be coming out the gates as hot as they have been. Minshew was always regarded as a weak-armed quarterback who was more of a game manager, while Tannehill was always more reliant on Derrick Henry to just grind the ball down the field and then use play action to get what he's been getting. Instead, it's been the complete opposite. You see Minshew taking risks downfield. That arm looks like a cannon. All right, it's a precision cannon too. He knows what he's doing. And for Tannehill, who was comeback player of the year last year, he's taking control of the offense now. It's instead of him complimenting Derrick Henry is complimenting him. Instead of the run setting up the pass, it's the pass setting up the run. And with that comes the emergence of a lot of good players for both sides. Gardner Minshew and DJ Chark really making that connection special. The rise of an undrafted rookie who's the first undrafted rookie running back to start in James Robinson, who is breaking out like no one ever expected. Now we understand why Leonard Fournette is no longer on the Jaguars. Jonnu Smith, who had 3 touchdowns last year, currently has 3 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks. And look, neither defense is actually really like that compelling. All right, I can't even name a starter outside of Miles Jack for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Jadeveon Clowney with the Titans has
Josh Allen,
to say the least, and Josh Allen too. Thank you so much for that. But I've never been more excited for this matchup before. All right, Titans Jaguars was honestly just amazing. I mean, we also saw the return of Tyler Eifert, an injured Bengal from like so many years ago. It comes down to Jacksonville, where it's basically the land of all the banished and dead, and has a touchdown on the day. It was really it was a close game, 33-30, with the game ending on a last minute interception by the linebacker Landry. But if you really pay close attention to like how that play went, Jadeveon Clowney was offsides on that play. Then the refs completely whiffed on it. And if they had noticed that, we could be talking about a different ending. We could be talking about a 2-0 Jacksonville Jaguar team, which no one would have even thought was feasible going into the 2020 season. But that's the game I want. But that's the game I'm excited for.
I think people forgot about Ryan Tannehill. Let's not forget what he did in Miami.
That's what I'm saying.
Weapons. People,
is like a baller.
Over their head. All they remember is the injuries. Not being able to have blockage. And all them sacks that he had to endure. That was the issue all the time.
Like for me, this game was the feel good game because a lot of players were feel good stories. Minshew, a 5th round pick, no one expected to have anything go on. Tannehill, a quarterback that everyone thought was just a game manager balling out. Jonnu Smith, constantly injured, finally showing that he is the true tight end that they drafted in the 2nd round. James Robinson, a running back that went undrafted and took the place of a solidified starter in Leonard Fournette, in which he had Coach Doug Marrone's trust in, that no one even expected to show up. And then Tyler Eifert coming back from being injured so much, finally showing that he is the capable tight end that he showed back in 2015 with Cincinnati. Like, this is the feel-good game with feel-good stories to go all around, and I can't thank enough for it, you know?
Yeah, no, I can agree with that for sure. It definitely was a feel-good game. A lot of stories surrounding both teams. So I couldn't agree more with you. And like you brought up a name that I'm a huge Tyler Eifert fan. So, you know, it was good to see him. I thought he was done in the league, honestly. I thought it was annoying to me that he had gotten forgotten about in Cincinnati. So I'm glad that he, found a new home. Do I think he's going to be a perennial Pro Bowler moving forward? No, but I'm glad that he was able to, get his name called once again.
Eifert suffered a lot of season-ending injuries, particularly, I think, 2 torn ACLs in his time with the Cincinnati Bengals. And with that moves into our next segment of the podcast, which was injuries that piled up in week 2. Gentlemen, this might have been the bloodiest, metaphorically, bloodiest week in NFL that I've seen as a fan. And I watched a mini documentary about the Eagles Washington football team game called the Body Bag Game, where I think it was 10 or 11 players injured in one game. Here's the list of major stars. 7 season-ending injuries. Broncos wide receiver Courtland Sutton. Vikings linebacker Anthony Barr. San Francisco 49ers pass rushers Solomon Thomas and Nick Bosa. New York Giants running back Saquon Barkley. Wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts Paris Campbell, and a rising cornerback for the Ravens and Tavon Young. And those are just the season-ending injuries, major injuries. Christian McCaffrey with an injured ankle. Same with Jimmy Garoppolo. Drew Lock with an AC sprain in his shoulder. Byron Jones out for tonight's game against the Jaguars. And Cam Akers, a rising rookie running back for the Rams, a supposed heir to Todd Gurley, also injured. I'm telling you, this is getting bad, guys, and it is scary, and it really proves the point of why the preseason is a necessary evil. And you know what? I'm gonna actually give that talking point to Darius first about the preseason. Is this a lesson for everyone in the NFL that we just have to suck up the preseason and it has to exist?
I think it is. And even if it's just 2 games or 3 games, I definitely think we need preseason, because when we look at preseason football, obviously it's mostly for undrafted guys and rookies to prove themselves and guys who are trying to make the team. But it's also for veterans and different things like that to get accustomed to being out on the field, going against real competition. Because even with the offseason, there were times where teams did joint practices with others. There was none of that during this offseason. It was strictly just training camp with your players, practice, and then we're going to go into the game. So this is what happens when you don't, to me, in my opinion, you don't have a preseason at all. So like I said, I think what the NFL is going to do, they're going to look at this and implement some type of rule where it's like, we're either going to have 1 preseason game or 2 preseason games. And as fans, I know we complain, it's preseason, we don't really watch it, but we have to look at this. This is what happens when you don't have no type of joint practices or any type of preseason games, these injuries. And it's sad because it's guys like Saquon, who is a young running back who we all talk about who can be the next great best running back in the NFL, and his season is done within his 2nd week. After being banged up pretty much last year, he comes in and, tears his ACL. Jimmy Garoppolo has to prove his contract, really prove that he's a good quarterback. He's going down. And then you look on the defensive side, the 49ers are a depleted team. You lose your best pass rusher, you lose your best corner. You still have your linebacking core, but you lose a lot of your talent, and you also lose arguably the best tight end in the game. So it's a lot of injuries. Obviously, I think we all should be praying for a speedy recovery for all these players. And let's just hope the NFL takes this into consideration and looks at it like, you know what, we got to have a preseason going into next season, even if it's just a game or two. But there has to be some type of preseason or allow these teams to have joint practices or something.
Avery, really quick, tell me one thing. Do you feel like with this rash of injuries happening, and more certainly to come, the Super Bowl winner is just going to be based on who has the healthiest roster? Am I right on that?
Yes and no. I mean, I think that happens every year. I think that's a thing every year where it's just like if you're healthy later, the more healthy you are later in the season, the better chance that you have of making a run in the playoffs, getting to the Super Bowl. So I think that's every season. I think, to Darius's point, the only guys who don't like the preseason are guys who are like, oh, I don't want to get hurt, or they've already solidified a position or whatever the situation. And they know that the preseason doesn't matter, so they're not going to give full tilt. But even with those guys not giving full tilt, what happens is you're getting reps. You're getting your feet back underneath you. So even if you're not going full tilt, you're just going through the motions again. You're pushing somebody. Even if you're not really blocking, you're pushing somebody. You're moving, you're cutting on a dime. You're doing those things, and you're doing it against somebody else, not your teammate, who might be able to hit you. So you're still doing it in a way that is a little more intense than as you would be in practice when it's OTAs, when this guy's really not going to try to hurt me. So it's tough, but I mean, 7 ACL injuries this past weekend. That is insane. That is just it's sad. It's so sad. I mean, obviously the player that it happened to is even more sad, but it's just like it's a sick situation. But there's only one injury on my mind that really takes me aback, and it's Tyrod Taylor. You mean to tell me that a licensed professional NFL team doctor that I'm pretty sure everybody else in the organization has probably trusted and has to go to punctures the starting quarterback's lung, and that's it? That's all we hear? There's no outrage. There's no there's no backlash. I mean, for me, that's negligence. That's a lawsuit. For real.
No, the current CBA prohibits players from suing team doctors.
That, to me, that is sick. You punctured his lung, right? We're not, and it's sad that sometimes it comes. We're not talking about somebody, fourth on the depth chart at receiver. We're talking about the starting quarterback, and you punctured his lung. And I hate to take it here, but I've never heard of Tom Brady getting his lung punctured. I've never heard of Drew Brees. Like, for me, it's like, I wonder how did this happen to Tyrod Taylor? And then there's speculation that maybe they did this to get Justin Herbert in the game. Listen, and if that's the truth, it's ridiculous, man. This is
okay. All right. So there's a possibility that they could get stabbed in the lung. Oh, yeah.
Okay, and
so
we've never heard it. My thing is this: we've never heard it before. So it's like, yo, to me, I'm sorry. To me, it's just it can't happen, yo. It just can't happen. What's his name? Chris Rock tells a joke, right? He said there's certain jobs where you can have a couple bad guys, right? Like, there can be a couple of those guys who just aren't quite up to par, right? Like, I mean, you can have a couple guys who do cashier at a supermarket who aren't the best. Okay, that's not terrible. But he was making a reference to cops and pilots. You can't say like, oh, we got a great group of pilots here, but a couple of them, they like to get drunk or every now and again. Or it's the same thing with cops. You can't be like, we've got a lot of good ones, but some of them every now and again. Some professions you can't have any bad apples, and a team doctor is one of those. I'm sorry, you can't. You can't.
It's a great point, Avery, to make, and it is, questionable how something like that could happen. Darren, as much as I'd like to give your opinion on it, I'm still a little iffy too after you wished harm upon Khalil Mack last week. So I'm just gonna have to take that away from you. And it might have been the jinx that started it all. So I'm just gonna move on.
Wow, this is how we do. You know what?
Yeah, that's how we do.
Let's go to what we really.
All the injuries are Darren's fault. All the injuries
Yes.
are Darren's fault.
All
Every
of
last
them.
one of them.
I will not
Guys,
take
give
this.
me your hot takes as we go into our next
this
segment.
against
Group
you.
three picks and hot takes. Okay, you can make your accusations and your hot takes here. And you know what? I'm gonna give Darren the first platform here for his game of the week, his hot take for that game, and a hot take for in general. So go ahead, man.
All right, so hot take of the week is actually tonight, people. We all know, or at least a good majority of people feel as though the Jaguars are going to win tonight. But I got Gardner Minshew having this is his true come out party. 400 passing yards, no interceptions, and 5 touchdown passes with 3 different receivers over 100 yards. Yes, the way that the Dolphins have been letting up points is ridiculous, and I feel like Gardner can do it. I truly do. Yeah.
We got to start drug testing. I agree. We got to
Yeah.
We got to start drug testing.
know.
Like,
That's a little spicy right there. 500 yards. Man, 400 yards.
I said, listen, 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. No kick.
You know what? No, with that being said, actually, no, Darren, you took my game of the week, and that's fine. So I'll just make my announcement anyways. For my jersey pick, I'm picking the Jacksonville Jaguars to win the Miami Dolphins. And yes, I did order a Gardner Minshew jersey because I need Uncle Rico in my life, man. And this man and then some. But I'm picking New Game as my game of the week. So with that being said, Avery, game of the week and your 2 hot takes.
All right, so my game of the week, I have to go with. All right, so I'm torn. I'm torn between the Lions and Cardinals, the Cowboys and Seahawks, but I think I'm going to go with one that's kind of under the radar. I'm going to go with the Texans and the Steelers. I don't think that the Texans can go down 0-3. Like, you cannot start the season 0-3. You are the team. I mean, you won the division the last 2 years after starting 0-2 the last 2 years. So we've seen you climb out of this before.
Thank you, Chris Thomas. I know that's you, boy. I know that's you, man.
But I just can't see you guys overcoming an 0-3 deficit. You have to come out and find a way to win this game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, with that being said, the Steelers are showing that Ben Roethlisberger really is we all have known it, but he really is the engine to that team. He comes back and they're winning games, and that defense, they're playing pretty well. They're only going to get better, I assume, as the season progresses. They're going to be more stingy, allow less points, different things like that, as long as they stay healthy, So I'm looking at that game, and I'm thinking that could really be an underrated game that it might not get a lot of viewers, but I think it could turn out to be a phenomenal game. My hot take for that game is that 2 things. One, I believe that I believe that Deshaun Watson will have the type of night that Darren is projecting Gardner Minshew to have tonight. I believe that Deshaun will come out and snap. He'll have over 400 yards, at least 3 touchdowns, 1 rushing. I think he's going to put the team on his back and do what we've seen Deshaun Watson do so many times, and that's just make plays when you think things aren't going well. And as far as my hot take in general, Falcons fans, I love y'all. I love our team. Here's my hot take. We will start the season 0-3.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Wow. You know what? I'll say the same thing just in general, but that's not a hot take. But, like, you know what? All credit to you. Like, I know where the pain is coming from, Avery, and I really feel for you, man. And
No. Because Juan, here's the thing. I get where your pain comes from, but you've never had a Julio Jones and a Matt Ryan and a Todd Gurley, Alvin Ridley. You've never had all this offense at once.
no, I had a Jamal Adams, and we got rid of him.
Oh, goodness gracious.
There he is. You're next, man.
All right, so my game it's a couple of games that I'm looking at, man. It's two games that I think that are going to be really good
Good
shootouts.
comment, Chris. Good comment.
I think Seattle and Dallas obviously is going to be shootout just because both defenses aren't that good. And obviously Russ and Dak are playing really, really well this season. And then another game that's shootout that I'm surprised, Darren, you didn't say, man. The Ravens and the Chiefs. Are we not?
Leave me alone, Chris.
Are we not really thinking that Patrick Mahomes is he's like one of those quarterbacks that's no matter what defense he's playing against, yes, he may start off slow in the beginning, but that second half, Andy Reid does something. I don't know if it's like the Looney Tunes water. I don't know if you guys remember the Looney Tunes juice that they had when the second half. I don't know if he's giving his players that, but Patrick Mahomes and that team comes alive in the second half. And obviously Baltimore still has some holes on the defense, and so is Kansas City. And it's a Monday night game. So I feel like that is going to be a great game, and I think it's going to be a shootout. I want to see a shootout. I want to see Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes go tick for tack, and then it come down to which quarterback can really make that last play. And a game and then a hot take from a game, this is really going to be hot, and this is because this team has a lot of injuries on defense. The New York Giants will get their first victory against the San Francisco 49ers, and Daniel Jones will shred that depleted 49ers defense. He will throw for over 350 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, and the Giants will get their first win of the season.
I can see that happening.
That's going to happen. And for tonight's game, the Tua show starts. Tua is going to come in.
That's what I was waiting for. I thought somebody was going to say it. I thought Darren was going to be the one to say it.
It's going to happen. It's Thursday night. The lights are going to be on. Fitzpatrick. We know he's good in the first 2 weeks. It's week 3. The Tua show happens tonight. Just watch.
I will say this, though. If the Chiefs go down by 10 or more points to the Ravens, they will not come back. They got to stop with these slow starts. They will not come back. It's not a good formula.
I will in the first place. And you know what? With that being said, guys, it comes down to my stuff. And y'all took a lot of these positions and games that I wanted to comment on, but honestly, I gotta go with the Sunday Night Football matchup between the Green Bay Packers and the New Orleans Saints. I'll break it down in this way: we've seen duels between Hall of Fame quarterbacks. We've seen great games based on that, and this is supposed to be the marquee matchup of that. It's Drew Brees with all the records and all the achievements, and Aaron Rodgers with all the talent and instincts and personality. And it's like it's a battle of two different styles. One's a pocket passer, and for lack of a better terminology, Aaron Rodgers is a mobile quarterback because that man can move anywhere. But you know what we saw against the Las Vegas Raiders in Allegiant Stadium in the Death Star, like. To me, like, I know that it takes a while to get back into the rhythm of things, and Drew Brees didn't exactly end last season with the most amount of confidence in his arm strength. But Drew Brees never was a deep down like rocket arm passer in the first place. He was precision. He's a precision passer who knows where to put the ball in the tight window, and he's always been good at that. But it's now starting to seem like even the precision is starting to fail a little bit for Drew Brees. He's 41 and he's playing like it. And also, how does a Saints top 10 ranked defense lose to a Las Vegas Raiders team that only had one receiving option in tight end Darren Waller? Granted, Waller is a beast of an athlete and the most underrated tight end in the NFL. I'll give it that. But at the same time, you have Marshawn Lattimore guarding the outside. You have Marquise Williams, a very underrated safety in that secondary. You have Demario Davis, an all-pro from last year, and you have two quality defensive ends in Lattimore and Cameron Jordan manning the front seven. How can you not keep a Raiders defense down like that? A Raiders offense down then?
Malcolm Jenkins was getting cooked.
What?
Malcolm Jenkins was getting cooked.
Malcolm Jenkins was getting cooked.
No, everyone was getting cooked. It didn't matter if they had 2 or 3 guys on Darren Waller or Marshawn Lattimore. He still was getting the ball.
And you know what? Then on the other side of the spectrum is a complete different thing. The Green Bay Packers offense, the most elite I've seen in a while. You know, we complained that Aaron Rodgers didn't get the weapons that he needed in the draft, but he doesn't need any more, apparently, because Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Devontae Adams, and I forget the name of their third receiver, Lillard, I think it is. Lazard, thank you. And Lazard have all proven to be great pass catching options. Aaron Jones is showing that last season was not a fluke, and especially against the Lions, he showed that he is the talented running back that the Packers have been praying for the longest time. And you know what? That's my game that I'm looking forward to. For my prediction, I'm going to predict that Aaron Rodgers throws for 500 passing yards against the New Orleans Saints. I predict he's going to tear Marshawn Lattimore apart. He's going to rip Janoris Jenkins a new one, and I think it'll be 250 yards for Devontae Adams and at least 100 yards passing.
He's hurt.
He may not play.
He may not play.
Exactly.
I'll switch it. It'll be Marquez Valdez-Scantling with 250, and it will be
Yo.
And it'll be Aaron Jones with 100 receiving and 100
rushing. It's mandatory we do drug
tests. That's a hot take. That's a hot take right there, Juan. That's a hot take.
I thought you were going to say that this is crazy. I thought when you said that game that you were going to say that the Saints were going to bench Drew Brees. That's why
Taysom Hill show.
It's not critical yet. The Saints did have 1-1. The Saints did have 1-1 with Alvin Kamara still the backbone of that offense right now. Until Drew Brees throws a 5-interception game with 2 pick sixes to go with it, they're not going to put Jameis Winston in anytime soon. But my last hot take before we end it is, I have to say, and my last hot takes have all been like upset alerts. I predicted the one against the Washington football team against the Eagles. I predicted the one which was the the Chargers against the Kansas City Chiefs, which was close, which was so close, mind you. So my third upset for this year, I have to give it to the Atlanta Falcons. I believe that they are going to be able. Hold on, I'm looking through the schedule real quick because I forgot what team it was. The Bears. I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to upset the Chicago Bears. Because let me put it this way. Daniel Jones was able to get a lead against that Chicago defense without Saquon Barkley out there, right? Darius Slayton was still able to eat out there. Am I right? And also, Mitchell Trubisky is not the most reliable quarterback, okay? Now, granted, they're 2-0. But it is by the seemingly stretched margin that the Bears are 2-0. All right? And, Atlanta, like Avery said, has all that talent on offense. And if they have to win a shootout, I believe Atlanta is fit to win the shootout. So that's what I'm saying. Atlanta Falcons will upset the Chicago Bears in Week 3.
We never got Darren's hot take.
Oh.
You want that? You really want it?
Yes. You said you had a hot take that I might not like.
Dan Quinn gets fired week 4, and you guys start 0-4. The Jets, you get your new head coach this upcoming week because your guys is going to lose by 20 points. Simple as that. Adam Gase is going this week.
So basically what he's saying is Dan Quinn's going to get fired from Atlanta and he's going to get hired in New York. Question. just a yes or no. Just a yes or no. Yes or no from you guys. Just a yes or no. Is Matt Ryan the best quarterback in the NFC South?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, right now.
Far. And it's not even close.
There's no reason we should be 0-2.
And there's not, and the Jets have every reason to be 0-2. But with that being said, we're gonna end it here today, guys. Everyone who tuned in today, whether it's to our Discord, which you should go join, by the way, guys. You can just download the Discord app and just we even have the link there on the bottom. Come on. What do you got against? You want to talk football trash with us? We're open to it. I can take any one of you on. Darius can take any one of you on. Darren can take any one of you on. Avery can take any one of you on. You got something to say? We want to listen to it. We want to hear you. We want to talk to you. Come on and join our Discord. And guys, remember, you can find all of our audio podcasts, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, whether it's on Spotify, whether it's on Anchor, anywhere you listen to podcasts, Inside the Hashes audio player interviews, and these podcasts are there. You can also find our video interviews on our YouTube channel, Inside the Hashes, as well as our website, InsideTheHashes.com. And you can also follow us on our social media. On Facebook, we are Inside the Hashes, the football group. On Twitter, we are at Inside Hashes. And on Instagram, we are at Inside the Hashes. For Avery Collins, for Darius Riddick, for Darren Braxton, for Jerome Jones, for Chris Thomas out there in the Facebook group. My name is Juan Pablo Gordon Camargo. We'll see you next time.
Matt Ryan for president.
Cam for MVP.